very successful guys. They can't remove vices. They can't stick to a diet. When we really look at what is this guy's life and his sense of power, Grounded30 opens up a lot of the weaknesses and vulnerabilities within that man. What can you accomplish when the vices are gone and when we're focused on positive, empowering habits? There's tools there to help manage your life, to get you on track with the vision that you see for yourself. It's there. The tools are there. Guys are doing it. Guys are living incredible lives. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm here with Coach Jack. He's been a part of our community for quite some time, starting out as a client many years ago and just continued playing hard through our coaching community and slowly started onboarding clients and then started slowly leading calls and shadowing calls, and then eventually just took over one of our calls. And yeah, welcome, Jack.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, you've created something really special there, Andrew. So yeah, it's a really powerful group, and I'm really excited to hear about Grounded30.
Grounded30 is in beta right now. There's several dozen guys in it. It's a program designed to help men reclaim their power. It's a real easy, simple program to do. It's accessible to anyone. It's a virtual program. I created it so that everyone could have access to the value of being a grounded man. Whereas obviously you're one of our coaches, that program is a higher tier program, which limits how many men could access it. There's several hundred clients in there, which is amazing. Grounded30 is a program that is no cost for the first 30 days. You can actually come in and join the community. You could join the membership platform. It's off of Facebook. It's its own social platform that I've been building, and dive into the 5 daily tasks a part of Grounded30. So you got access to it. Like, what did you think?
I watched the video, the founder story, and I love it, man. I resonate with your story. I think everybody resonates with your story. Again, I mean, I've been with Project Grounded Man for a very long time. I came there at a time in my life where I very much needed it, and it was there. It was readily accessible, and I just joined. Yeah, received a ton of benefit, value, tools. I can see with some of the other programs with Project Grounded Man that sometimes it might be an added expense to people, right? It's like there's an expense there, but yeah, with the Grounded30, just, dive in, get your feet wet, and it sounds super powerful too. So it is a fitness challenge. Is that?
I wouldn't say it's a fitness challenge as much as it's like a mental resilience challenge. Fitness is a part of it because it's clear that some level of fitness is going to add value, especially what I'm trying to do is increase testosterone, and working out consistently is an added benefit of that. I can go more into the testosterone thing, but I wouldn't call it a fitness challenge because it includes other things. So just real quick, the 5 daily tasks is 1, work out 45 minutes, 2, own a diet, whatever it is that you'd like, 3, no vices, no distractions. So
30 days.
That is
30 days, no vices.
That is a tough one. That is a tough one. It opens up your eyes to how you've been living and what is actually possible to you, because as the days go on with no vices, plus you're eating well and you're exercising, like the most common thing is I have so much time, because they realize how much of their time and day, and even in between, it's like, oh, I'm here, I'm gonna check my phone, I'm gonna do this, I'm just all these little things pop up that you realize you've been doing that aren't necessarily in alignment. They're just sort of distractions that help you pass time, social media, all these other things, but just helping guys identify like, what is your actual vice? Because some people think they don't have any if they don't drink, or they're like, I don't do social media, I don't watch TV, but everyone will have a vice when we get down to it. And that's what I help guys find out. It's just basically a vice defined as what is holding you back from progressing towards your goals, what is stunting your growth, basically. So there's so many things that can come up. And it's really interesting to see what guys end up sharing. And if they're unaware of what it is, then I have them ask their partner or people close to them, because they know. The 4th one is grounded journaling. And the point of this is to get clarity on who you are and what you want as a man and out of life. And that is so powerful when it comes to progressing towards what matters and reducing the unnecessary and focusing on the areas of life that matter most to us.
Yeah, totally. Like purpose and vision, right? You're not really going to get clear on it. You said clarity. You're not going to get clear on it until you start really, making a plan. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of mindset. And there's just so much going on upstairs all the time, right? It's chaotic up there. So if you can get it down on paper, you can really start to see, you can actually start to make a plan. As guys, we're good at making a plan. We're good at our businesses. We can run a business really well. Then why don't we take the same tools? You would do this if you were running a business. You'd have a business plan. Why not have a plan with your
100%.
life? Right?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
A direction of where you're going so you don't climb up a ladder, leaned up against the wrong wall, and you're just like, wait. I was productive. I was doing all these things right throughout the day, but where was it leading me? Because you will eventually, if you're a focused, growth-oriented, productive guy, you will eventually hit your goals. You will eventually get there. But is that actually what we want? So just because we're accomplishing goals, it may not necessarily bring us the type of fulfillment that we want in our lives, our career, or relationship.
Amazing.
So crushing goals is one thing, but crushing alignment is a whole nother ball game. And that's what that grounded journaling is doing. There's also just daily, it's like half of it's a standard journal. Like, what are we doing today? What are the top 3 priorities? But the second half is reflection on yourself. So continuously making progress with the other tasks is building momentum. We're getting things done, and we're also analyzing who we are and where are we going? What am I doing? Not just in your life, but your relationships, your career, and the level of impact that you're making.
Yeah, man.
The last one is contribute to community. This is hard. And we can talk about other challenges, but a lot of those other challenges, you're just kind of on your own. And I've created a free community for guys to come together to do Grounded 30. I'm also leading calls inside the community. So I call them power sessions, where I just come in, I'm answering rapid fire questions, adding value, firing guys up, and just eliminating limiting beliefs, all these like weak excuses to why we can't do this. Like very successful guys, guys are showing up in suits looking very astute with a professional office setting, and they can't remove vices. They can't stick to a diet. When we really look at what is this guy's life and his sense of power, Grounded 30 opens up a lot of the weaknesses and vulnerabilities within that man. So guys can learn more about it at grounded30.com, and it's no cost to join the social platform and to see the videos and the breakdown of these 5 daily tasks. Yeah, it's all there.
Cool, man. Yeah, I wrote these down as you're talking, and I'm thinking, no vices. I put a star beside that one. That sticks out to me as being like a challenge. And one thing I was going to say about, my journey with vices is, and what I see in Project Grounded Man with a lot of the guys is the level of power, the power that's uncovered when these vices are removed. But man, 30 days is a challenge. Yeah, there's a ton of success stories with eliminating vices. And when you see guys come out the other side, it's powerful. Power is the word that comes to mind. Like, we have more power than we know. It's there. Yeah, the vices tend to waste time. They tend to suffocate our power is the best way that I can describe it. 30 days, no vices. You're going to see just an all-around improvement, especially if you're married or you have a partner as well. They're going to be so thankful for it.
100%. It reveals your real life. The vice is often masking your life, and a common one, it would be porn. Like if a guy's addicted to porn, it is covering something, it is revealing something. When we start making progress towards the reduction or elimination of it, it shows us what our life is like. We're lacking intimacy, we're lacking connection, or a sex life that excites us, or just we're bored. It's just become a habitual habit. Or drinking, like if you're going out sober with friends or on dates, like that's your actual life. That is actually you right there. Drinking can often mask some of our anxieties, insecurities, our self-doubts, our limiting beliefs, our fears, and there can be some social benefit to it at times. I get it. I'm not coming out here saying that I'm a saint. I have like a long history of vices. Like a big part of Project Grounded Man is removal of vices and understanding why you do them. So I'm not coming out here as a saint. These are all journeys that I've been on that I have found greatly beneficial to men on their life's journeys. So it reveals the truth.
Yeah,
and
totally.
That's what the journaling's there for. That's what the community's there for. That's what I'm there for. And this thing is really starting to grow as more guys engage. It's not like I'm telling you to do this and you're just alone suffering. Like there's a community, you can access it.
Yeah, man. And you just said there, like alone suffering. Before I came to do this work, it was alone suffering, right? And even coming on the call with you, I was trying to think, okay, well, what's the intention here? If guys could just understand, like, you don't have to suffer and you don't have to keep doing this thing alone. The community is really powerful. There's some really incredible men in there. I'm talking more about some of the other programs that you offer, some a little, more in tune with those ones. This is a powerful way to start. I always like the analogy of, if you're doing something and you're riding the bike, mine, for example, I'm just using vices again as example. Mine was drinking, right? And I was like, man, I got to find a way I got to interrupt this somehow, right? So if you were to do this for 30 days, you would come out a different person.
You will come out a different person, and you will go through a stage of, wow, I have so much time. And a part of the Grounded 30 is, what can you accomplish when the vices are gone and when we're focused on positive, empowering habits? The working out, the diet, and the journaling, these are all healthy things contributing to a community of grounded men all doing this challenge together as one. What are the possibilities? And guys are realizing, like, oh, wow, I'm no longer doing these vices. I'm connecting more with my partner. We're going out on dates, brought back date night. There's all this time that comes. Another guy's like, I literally cleaned my entire house. I cleaned the garage. I sold all this stuff I didn't want. Like, he just kind of went through and cleaned his whole life because there was so much time. And that creates this level of momentum. We're cleaning up the house and we're doing a masculine reset, if you will, on really connecting to who we are.
Amazing, man. And then with the community, the fifth aspect, you got workout, the diet, no vices, journaling, very powerful. The community, could you expand on that?
Are
you talking about the community of men, or there's a fifth aspect to the challenge where you...
Yeah, the fifth task is contribute to the grounded community.
Oh, I see.
Logging into the portal, and I show different ways you could support another guy by either supporting his journey, his challenge, or posting your progress and what's going on for you. Because if everyone's doing it, it creates a spiral effect, and it makes it achievable. It makes it real. Versus, I'm the only one doing this really hard thing, and then you look, and then there's another guy over here in Arizona, there's another guy here in New York, there's another guy in Florida, there's another guy in Chicago, a guy in San Diego, and it's like, you're like, oh, we're all actually thinking the same thoughts, we're going through the same
Canada,
thing.
Don't leave Canada out.
Yeah. Vancouver. Oh yeah, Vancouver, Toronto, Quebec. All. I mean, there's a lot of Canadians. Two of you guys are coaches.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, amazing, man. Yeah, and I think you're touching on something really big here. Like, one thing that I noticed with PGM when guys are first coming in, and something that I can identify, was it's a part of doing it alone. We're like, why do we do that? And I would argue that there aren't a lot of places, and this is what makes your program so incredible. This is kind of why, man, I really love you. Like, you've really created something very powerful. It's a very safe place for guys to connect, right? I'm talking about your whole program, Knowledge for Men, because there's all different aspects of it. And man, I've spent hours on those, different coaching calls. The amount of change and breakthroughs and positivity, and it's just really interesting to see these guys. I mean, you have it on your onboarding chart. It's at scale, right? Let's start with building your confidence. Let's get some energy stacked. Let's remove those vices. Let's get real on what life looks like. And it could be painful.
I think it will be painful. I think it's a part of that transformation.
Yeah.
Opening those doors that we've closed and going into it, embracing that journey. I think that's essential.
Yeah, man. And then when you see these guys skyrocket, holy smokes, I see them. I just got off a call before this one, the Thursday noon call. Yeah. And like, I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, there's more color in their face. You can see they're a little more defined and chiseled. You can see they're smiling more. They're happier. They're sharing wins about like connecting with their partners and just sharing how their kids and their families, like everybody is just feeling the benefit of them being grounded and growing. Right. And they're
showing up.
Yeah.
They're showing up. I remember years ago when you were on the client side, your background was like dark kind of. And like even your background, you were like talking about this idea about going to Costa Rica. And I was just like, you know what, Jack, here we go, right here, right now. We're going, we're making this happen. And you actually did it, which was just the alignment of like, look, there's this thing I've always wanted to do. I went and what was it? Like you're working like lifestyle.
Yeah, you challenged
virtual.
Me. You definitely challenged me. And that's a beautiful thing as well, is like, I always say like you, Pete, Raw, like all the guys, there's tons of guys in the program, but I could name all these names. Like, you guys have made me do the craziest things. I blame all you guys for all the stuff that I've done. But man, I'm alive. Life is good. I'm alive. I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do. That whole trip you're referring to with Costa Rica was I'm a business owner, and I always felt very attached to my business. And I'm sure every business owner, so are you can feel that of like, I can't leave. I don't want my staff to think. There was just all these beliefs that I had that I couldn't live the life that I wanted to live, and that I was basically, I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do, and that I owed it to my staff. There was some type of attachment that I had to my staff that I couldn't leave. They would leave me if they saw me having fun, There was just this weird idea about it. Anyway, I came on, you were on the call. Maybe it was Stacy or something, and you were on the call, and I was like, look, I really want to go. I want to live down south. I live in Vancouver now, and the winters here suck. So it's like, I want to live down south. I'm a huge avid surfer, and I want to spend like 2 to 3 months living somewhere hot. And you just called me right out on it. And you were like, well, why aren't you doing that? And I had every excuse in the book, right? But I didn't really, I was telling you like, well, Andrew,
I think you were silent. I do remember there being like a silence, like, oh, wow, this is real. And that action for some other people, it's going to be different. Like, what is that aligned action that is scary? Like, aligned action is scary. It's like, wow, this is the thing that I want to do. I'm holding back from it. For some reason, I've created some sort of invisible wall to why I can't live that out. And that wall has been holding me back for years or decades in some cases for men.
Yeah. So I just remember thinking, you were staring down the camera at me, like, give me a good reason why you can't book your ticket at the end of this month. I remember, maybe I didn't voice it, but in my mind is going like all these different excuses, but I didn't have a reason why I couldn't do it. And then we made a commitment that I would book the tickets. And last winter, about a year ago, I spent 2.5 months in Costa Rica on top of many other journeys that I've pursued with the help of, with you, your program, with the coaches and with the men. It's really powerful. The community, the coaches, I don't even like using that word so much for myself as a coach. I'm just there I've done this journey, I've done the growth, and there's tools there to help manage your life, to get you on track with the vision that you see for yourself. It's there. The tools are there. Guys are doing it. Guys are living incredible lives. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Right? It's there. And you've got it. You've got it there in PGM. I'm really excited to get into Grounded30. This looks right up my alley.
So PGM is short for Project Grounded Man, which is our like premier program that would be found through knowledgeformen.com. What I see is that aligned actions lead to more aligned actions. The first one is whatever that is going to be, is especially if it's been quite some time where we've been hiding or living with vices and distractions, just numbing ourselves. That first one is going to be difficult. And it slowly, you do that. That's a very hard one. It's scary, whatever that might be. And then we do another one. It becomes easier and easier to the point where you're realigning your life so that it is in alignment to your values and it feels more fulfilling. It feels right. It feels like you're more free. It feels like less weight on your shoulders. And it's more you. It's more authentically you. You're talking about that aliveness, where that is found. It is found in aligned actions and turning those into habits.
Thoughts. Yeah. Aligning your thoughts with your actions as well, right?
Correct.
I want to be this healthy guy. I want to have a nice physique. I want to have masculine power. I want. Those are your thoughts of like all these things that you want, but our actions are not in alignment with that. We're consumed by vices. Our diet sucks. We're not working out. I don't have the time. There's always an excuse, right? Yeah, man, this is right up my alley. Okay. So what are you doing for your 45-minute workout? Are you partaking in this as well?
Yeah, my hair's wet if you're watching video because I just did the workout and then took a shower and then my hair's like kind of wet. And I want to be in alignment, right? Like I'm up here talking about Grounded30. It's like, all right, like I already did it. Like I just did it all. So my workout, I was always working out about 3 times a week, like always. Since I was about 15, I took a weight class. I was like, the only thing I took from high school was I learned how to lift weights with the football team. And then I continued that into college. I was taking weightlifting. That was something that I actually would implement every week. But 3 days a week is really just maintenance. Like you're not really pushing that bar to start seeing great results. So 3 times a week, you'll be a guy who it's like, you look good with a shirt on, but when you take your shirt off, it's like, oh, okay, well, we can tell he kind of works out. But having committed to Grounded30 several months ago, or pushing really more into the 4 to 5 days a week, that was when I started seeing real shifts in my body. You can start seeing a lot of that hard work.
Amazing.
It's like the definition is shown when you really start crossing into 4 and 5. For the guys listening, Grounded30 is just working out 5 days a week. Okay, so it's not 7 days a week. It's 5 days a week. And the reason being is because 5 days a week is enough for Olympians. It's enough for UFC fighters. It's enough for pro athletes. So it's enough for you too. There's no point in the 7 or multiple times per day, 7 days a week, when this is likely to lead to injury. And it's likely to create more harm than good. It's really just the habit of getting a good workout in consistently so that we can continue Grounded 30 as a lifestyle. Working out 2 days a week and 45 minutes, 2 days a week, as some other challenges might suggest, is unsustainable for the long term. Even the founders of those people who've created those challenges do not sustain their own challenge. I am sustaining my own challenge beyond Grounded 30. So Grounded 30 is really like an initiation into the world of knowledge for men, but your momentum is going to take off. And when the momentum takes off, you then feel less inclined to go back to your old way of life, because this way of life is so much more empowering, more fulfilling. You're looking better, you're feeling better, you're earning more, you're sexually more attractive, you're more potent in bed, you're more respected when you're living in alignment.
Yeah. And like guys listening to this, like I see guys shift all the time. It doesn't take long either. It's about 30 days. I would argue, some guys who are like, I really need to see some results quickly. I usually tell like, man, 4 to 6 weeks, if you play hard, you can drastically change who you are, where your life is at in 4 to 6 weeks. You can.
Absolutely. I recommend the Olympic weight lifts, and not a lot of weight. I'm talking the barbell and 45s. I'm not doing what I used to do. Like I remember when I was younger, I'd be benching close to 300 pounds. Today, I bench probably like 150, 8 to 12 reps. And I feel that I look better, I feel better, and I'm not in pain. Like I want to reduce pain as much as possible. So I am doing the bench, the deadlift, the squat, military press, and pull-ups, and assault bike, and variations of different weightlifting, as well as a HIIT workout once per week. But for me, it's about what can I do consistently that is challenging, and where can I get the most bang for my buck? And that's with Olympic weightlifts. And also a big part of Grounded 30, to get a real shift, we want a real biomarker that's going to increase, and that would be testosterone. And testosterone is a good biomarker for men, especially something to monitor post 30, post 35 for sure, where it is going down. There's so many symptoms associated with low testosterone, such as your mood, your energy, your sexual libido. I view it as a biomarker for masculine power. There is a correlation. I like lab tests. I like data so I can track. I think it's cool. I like to nerd out on that. And it gives me something to really aim for when I'm working out and stuff. The testosterone increases significantly through Grounded 30. You're eating well, you're working out consistently, and you're removing the distractions that can really weaken you. The alcohol, or if there's other recreational drugs or porn, all these things. So Olympic weight lifts I like because the compound lift is shown to increase testosterone more so than if I was just jogging.
Right. Okay. Well, you look good. I've been in a hot tub with you, so, you look good. No, it's working. It was really cool, actually. Like, yeah, speaking of that time, like walking around, we went grocery shopping. I was going to go grab one thing, and you were like, no, Jack, that's not organic. Like, get the organic. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll get the organic. All right. Got like your water purifier at home. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm big on clean water, highest purification that we can get, a reverse osmosis if you can, or if you live nearby, or if you buy it, or just making sure you have a good filter.
Yeah, amazing, man. And one of the things that you're saying is like preventing injury. So you're talking about this trip that I did down to Costa Rica. I mean, I did a couple other things as well. I went a little bit nuts on my fitness journey myself, and I definitely pushed it too hard. As we're talking, I have heat pads on my calves right now. I just got needling done this morning. Like, I'm suffering because I pushed myself way too hard.
You did like some like cycling, like marathon or something?
Yeah, it all kind of started with Coach Pete when he started the 1x1x24, which was it was a 1 mile run every hour on the hour for 24 hours. Right. And that was
okay. So just so the audience hears that right, because that sounds a little nuts. So it's run a mile every hour for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? And what do you do in between?
We had some other challenges. He had like power calls every 4 or 5 miles, something like that. And then we had to remove something from our house, something that we didn't need. we had to remove one thing every hour. So we come back from our run. It's like, do I need this? No, chuck it. Right. So by the end of the 24 hours,
you're like, you're removing your roommate. You're like, I don't need this.
So remove. So we should have 24 things to remove. I remember going into that, and that was a huge level of pain for me. That was really getting real with my fears. And at the time, I was about 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I was just really not in a good place. And I was starting to work away at all this stuff. And Pete threw out this 1x1x24 challenge. Let's do it. And he was doing some crazy fitness challenges. And I remember I didn't sleep for 4 nights before. I was so scared. I was so terrified of doing it that I didn't sleep for 4 nights before. So I showed up with a cold, and I did this thing with a cold. But after I did it, I realized, and this is exactly what you're talking about with this Grounded 30. After I did it, I was like, man, if I could do that, what more have I been leaving on the table? Like, what more can I do? And that was actually the beginning of a very incredible fitness kind of journey. And yeah, so the last thing that I ended up doing was I biked from West Germany to Budapest I was trying to do it in 10 days. I did it in 12. It was about 14 or 1500 kilometers, which I think that's about a little over 1,000 miles, maybe.
Wow. Yeah. That's big.
So I did this bike ride. And at the time before that, I was trying to run a marathon every week. So I'm dealing with like all these calf issues because I never stretched and I didn't know about self-care. And so, one of the things that you're talking about working out is, I would argue that most guys need a kick in the ass. They need to get some workouts in. They need to push themselves. But on the other end, and what we've been talking about, like in your elite mastermind program, which is the other program, another program that you offer, all last month was the focus of self-care. We're high functioning men. We don't know how to stop. I mean, there's some incredible guys in that program.
Yeah, there is.
Right.
There is
some impressive resumes in that program. And one of the things we were identified is like, man, we've been pushing so hard. We don't even know how to take, where's the self-care? So then we went on a 1 month self-care journey.
It's like a higher level type of problem. It's like you do too much personal development, or you're doing too much growth or fitness to the point where you're like, now that actually might be the vice.
But it feels good. It's just, it's balancing that self-care. And what you said, sharing your workout routine, is you don't need to go that hard.
We want consistency. And can you do this realistically for the rest of the year? Can you continue to do this? Can you maintain this level that you're at? I have friends that have done some other challenges that require 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes. While I respect the discipline and the hard work, I don't see the value if you quit after the challenge and go right back. You can't wait for it to end. You're suffering throughout it. You just want to go back to your old life. Whereas with Grounded 30, the point is that you are moving towards a new life, and it is maintainable. You're building momentum, and you can maintain and continue to the point where you look back and you're like, I don't want to ever have to go back to that. I want to continue to press forward. I'm not really stopping. Like, I've just been continuously working out just continuously going. So I'm not like, hey, 30 days is up. I'm just continuously doing this because the momentum is there, and you will feel different within days. You'll really start to open up your life and really start questioning, like, where am I going and what am I doing?
But what I keep hearing here is just, you're unlocking this power, this potential that's just sitting inside of you. It wants to come out. You're stifling it with vices and porn. Like, that's generally connected to a lack of connection. Drinking, that was kind of, that was my vice that I had to get through. That was masking. I had emotions there that I was masking for years through drinking, right? What are the other ones? Netflix. I think we've all...
Yeah, social media. Yeah,
goes on.
Netflix for sure. Just what is stunting you from growth? Like, what is holding you back from the vision? And I think most guys can think of one that is like very big, even if it was just that one. Some guys, I just say, hey, what is the biggest one? And let's just focus on that. For some guys, it's like, look, I do all of them. And it's like, okay, like, we can try, but I think you'll fail. If this is your first introduction into some sort of personal development or growth challenge, then let's just pick one big one. That's going to be a domino for the other one. So let's just start there. Let's focus. We don't have to do everything in 30 days. Like, we have the future. We have Grounded 60, Grounded 90. Like, we can continue.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah.
We can continue and stack and make it more challenging. We can introduce new tasks into it. But ultimately, I don't want this to be something where you're just suffering and you're doing a challenge for the sake of a challenge, but that you are actually shifting your way of life and being, and you are journaling in ways that open up who you are and what you want out of this life. It's going to be different for everyone, and that's what makes the community special is people can share. Some guys are family guys, some guys are single guys, some guys are bachelors, some guys have many kids, some guys are older. That's cool, like, because the challenge is what unites everyone together.
Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of mindset. Like, mindset is so important. Also a big fan of David Goggins. And I listen to him sometimes, and he talks about the hardest part of the 40-mile run or whatever he's doing is actually just getting his shoes on. And the conversation that he has with his pair of shoes. Have you heard of him talk about this before?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of him. Yeah.
So he shares a story about, the conversation that he has with his shoes, which is crazy. I think that's the challenge to guys listening to this as well, is you're having that conversation with the shoes. Like, should I do? Oh, I hate you. I hate those shoes. I hate looking at those shoes. I try to get in his mindset of what that would look like, having to prepare for like a 40, 100, whatever mile run that you're doing.
Yeah. He's like,
and you're just having this conversation with your shoes, like, man, because once I put you on, it's on, right? And so there's a mindset there as well, where what are guys going to do? Are you going to hit that? Are you going to say, that's not for me, I can't have that life? There's a lot of mindset built on this idea that we can't have this life. I can't have fulfillment. I can't have happiness. I can't have an amazing relationship. I can't make money. I can't. Whereas I would argue joining something like this, Grounded30 program would be, hey, the mindset shift of, no, I'm going to do this. This is it. The shoes are on, and I'm going to make change.
Yeah, that's a big piece, is just saying, I'm not going to just check this out, but like, I'm going to do this. It's like a mental breakthrough. I'm going to commit to this. Things I commit to, I seldom commit to things because I just want to focus. But if I'm going to introduce something, I am going to commit to this. I do not like to not finish things that I say I'm going to do. I like to be someone who's going to follow through. Building your integrity muscle, like integrity with yourself, is super important for men, because if you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, and then it's like your word doesn't mean much. So when you're setting goals, you kind of know you're not going to follow through. But rebuilding that muscle to where it's like, hey, I'm going to do this, and then you follow through. So the next time you are going to do something and set your mind to something, you have a track record of following through. So it reinforces, you're building almost a pyramid of integrity to the point where you just get shit done that you commit to. The things you do commit to, you are going to get done, and you're not a talker. The reason why I'm so big on the integrity and being a man of word, my dad was a someday guy. I lived with someday, and it was just so painful. It was always someday, like, get me excited as a kid. And then someday, and it would literally take 5 to 10 years before something might happen. It was a someday thing. I remember I wanted a pool. All the kids had pools, and I wanted a pool. We grew up kind of lower middle class, so I knew it wasn't really possible. But I remember we did have a pretty big backyard. I remember my dad would be like, someday, like, we'll get a pool someday. And I remember holding on to that as if perhaps that might actually happen. And just like, yeah, someday. And I'd be like, hey, are we going to get a pool this year? Like, someday. And it was always this someday thing. What he said wouldn't happen most of the time. I don't want to, I sounds like I'm discounting my dad, but it's just the way it was growing up. Things were tight, but that put inside me that, like, I will not do that to people. Like, I just will say we're not going to get it. Like, I'm just going to tell you, honesty. It's just not going to happen. What we can do, though, is work really hard, Andrew, and you should get a good job and be someone who's going to follow through. There's a lot of trust in that with yourself that's really important, because I feel like if you build that up, you can beat vices. Like, you can beat vices if integrity with yourself is high, because if you say you're going to do something, you have such a strong pyramid of integrity that you can beat the call to vices. And I feel like I have a journey with each one. Oh, some guys like, oh, I just have this one problem. Like, I have a journey with each one, like whether it's alcohol, drinking, drugs, porn, social media, like every single one, women, being like a professional bachelor, each one. So I'm saying this from a position of like the importance of integrity with yourself is perhaps the antidote to vices.
Yeah, man. You're touching on some big stuff here, right? Integrity is massive. And this is the whole, like, going back to what you were talking about, aligning with your actions. I would also challenge aligning your thoughts and actions together. If you are lying to yourself, that's where it all starts. right? It starts with yourself. And so if you don't even have that integrity with yourself, you need to go on a journey and build it.
That's a part of the Grounded 30 because it's every day. There's 5 things to do that will benefit you. There's a calendar printout. You have to make a commitment at the top. I will commit to complete Grounded 30. Otherwise, I will restart to day 1. Cross off each day, and then it has all the tasks at the bottom. And every day you cross it off. Each day you are building the integrity because you made a commitment in the beginning, and each day you get to do something that is achievable. It's not impossible. It's really not that overwhelming. I am hearing some of this feedback in the group like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. These things I'm asking you to do are really things we should be doing. We're so far from that this seems now like a challenge, which is interesting.
And even if you screw up 2 weeks in and you have to start over, you've still just made a ton of progress. You're heading in the right direction. You're going in the direction that you want to go. Like there's
100%.
always going to be mistakes. Yeah, if you don't get it on the first try, welcome to being human.
It's just cycles. Like I think most guys will fail like in a couple days in, and then you just cycle back, and that's perfectly fine. I used to be really into like the Navy SEALs, and I read their stories, and a lot of the most famous ones that would make it into the highest level of the SEAL community, which is like the Dev Group, or popularly known as SEAL Team 6, they initially failed the Buds boot camp like several times. They'd cycle back and they would just keep trying to get back into the boot camp, like trying to go back to Hell Week, like take me back to hell, take me back to hell. Like they would talk to their commanders. But that was a common thing that I saw with the elite guys, elite of the elite, is that in their early origins, they were failing a lot. Like, are we sure we should let this guy in? Like he's failed 4, 5, 6 times. It's like, look, this is a waste of taxpayer money at this point. Just kidding. If that's a theme, then that tells you it is perfectly a part of the journey to fail and cycle back. And it's really that part where you keep saying, take me back, let me back in, let me back in, let me try again, let me try again. I feel like that right there is what made that person make it to a high level.
Completely, man. Because again, you're talking about mindset. Like, is this a failure? I don't even like using that word anymore. Failure. What's failure? We had an experience, didn't go to plan. There's a mindset around that idea of failure. And another thing that I'll comment on with Project Grounded Man, with Elite, especially with Project Grounded Man, I'd say, is that I identify a lot of guys coming in there saying, I failed. I've done everything wrong.
Like in their life. Like that's how they're starting.
Well, that's how they show up to the call when they first join the program. It's like, I've failed and I haven't shown up. I've done it all wrong. I'm a failure. And then I start asking them, okay, well, what have you done in your life? And man, there are some incredible guys in this program, like really incredible guys. And I start writing the list down. I'm like, do you have a pen and paper out as well, my friend? Like, are you writing down all these things that you're telling me?
What are some things that you hear when a guy says, what has he done?
There's a lot of men in there who have been very successful with their businesses. There's a lot of business success in PGM.
Yeah. There's a lot of professional success.
Professional success. Maybe there is definitely the feeling of a lot of failure of like, I haven't shown up as a father, right? I haven't shown up as a father to my children. The story that they're telling themselves is that they're a failure and they failed at all these things. But from an outsider, from my point of view, I'm looking at it going, holy smokes, man, you've done so much. You've got, like, this is your resume, man. Look at this thing. It's incredible. I want advice from you because you've done all these things, right? So is it failure? And that's, I think, we're touching on something here. If you miss that one day, I think that really separates a grounded man from, a man who's, putting it bluntly, like acting like a little boy, is like, shoot, I failed 2 weeks in. I'm going to give up. It's like, no, you didn't really fail. You did a you did a great job. You did 2 weeks. All right, let's get back at it.
Right. Wow. Is it failure? Is it failure?
Yeah. I don't even like using that word.
You're saying a lot of these guys share these really amazing resumes that they seem oblivious to. What do you think is going on there? Is he blocking his own success, or is he like self-punishment of like, I'm not enough?
Yeah, it's complex. I mean, I really think it comes back to mindset. I always try and ask the guys, like, what is the story that you're telling yourself? Because you have control. We talk about control. Like, you only really have control over one thing. It's your thoughts and where you put your energy. Like, where you put your energy is really, really the only thing, in my opinion, that you have control over. Where you put your energy is also your thoughts. So I'm a big fan of using correct vocabulary, and that's why I don't even like using the word failure. I try to stay away from words like failure and try and replace it with, experience, because I was one of those people before. I would just kick myself, man, I'm this, I'm that. The way that I talked to myself was so degrading. Answering what your question with these guys, they come in, they say, I'm such a failure. I've done all these things. And I look at them and we start to write down all these things that they're such failures about. And yeah, in my mind, I'm looking at them like, wow, what an incredible human. What an incredible guy. Really, all they have to do is change that mindset. Easier said than done, just change the mindset. But it is, in my opinion, it is mindset. Mindset has a lot to do with how we are showing up. I'm also a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talks a lot about mindset, how the brain works. He basically outlines that there's 3 steps to this, to changing who you are, changing your mindset. First step is identifying. Second step is action. And third step, which can sometimes be the hardest step for guys, is being that person, right? I want to be a positive person. Okay, well, let's identify that, hey, I'm not acting in a positive manner right now. Okay, I need to go on a journey. Action. There goes, what are the actions going to be to get me into a positive state? And there's all kinds of things that you can do for that. And the last challenging one is being. Why not just be that positive person? He argues that you don't even need the action. You can just go from identifying to being, which takes a minute to get your head wrapped around, but it's true. You can. If you identify like, hey, I'm not being a positive person, you literally, that is something that you can control. You can control if you're going to be positive or not positive, just as an example.
Yeah. He's big on the mindset, and even like how you think about pain in the body and curing illnesses and stuff. He's definitely a fascinating individual. I wonder for guys who are like, hey, I'm not feeling like I'm a good father. I wonder if that is his thought, or if his own children have said that, like, hey, you're a terrible father, or if that is just sort of his belief, and then perhaps that belief is based upon a comparison.
Yeah, that's a good question too. I mean, it's hard. It would be hard to comment on another man's journey, but I will just comment from how I see it. Is when I start to dive in to it with these guys, just from my perspective, it seems that they are incredible fathers. They just haven't been showing up for themselves, which then reflects on how they act, because we know if we're not healthy, we're not showing up, we're acting in a very weak manner. You mentioned integrity. They're showing up with integrity, honesty, and therefore I think the respect starts to fall off between family. If you don't mind me using the example of with your dad, because I do know, you shared the story with your dad. Of course, you were very close with him, right? So in no way are you sitting here saying, I hate my dad for this. In his way, he was probably not trying to hurt you, but because he showed up maybe with a lack of integrity, he ended up, hurting you. Whereas if maybe he showed up with the ability to say no, maybe that was something that he had a difficult time with. Most men have a difficult time saying no.
Right. Saying no to your kid.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah. Or just in general. Yeah.
Saying no to your kid.
So what would happen in that situation if he just said, look, Andrew, we don't have the money for a pool. I love you, son, but you're not getting the pool. You'd be like, you might have a second there where you're like, oh, the wind's out of your sails. Shit, this sucks. I'm not getting the pool.
Yeah, the ownership.
I could be wrong here, but maybe there would be a level of respect there where like, okay.
Yeah, I think the ownership, just owning the situation, just own it. Like that's that instead of someday, because it wasn't just with the pool. It was like with everything. It was someday.
Yeah.
And there would be times when he would come through and it was like this miracle. It's like, oh my God, like he came through. It's like this big deal whenever there'd be this like action on his part. He was a typical nice guy. Like he didn't want to like ruffle any feathers. He didn't want to create conflict. He would say things that would just cause the least amount of stress. In doing so, I feel that you're losing your power and the truth needs to be shared. And this isn't about the pool as much as it is about just everything in life. Nice guys will avoid tension and choose the easier path. It's like a get out of jail card. It's like, okay, I don't have to deal with that. Those things will come back. Putting things off, not speaking up, it will, like setting boundaries, like these things will weaken a man over time if that is how we're living.
Yeah. So I know we're dumping back to the situation with, the man coming in saying, I'm such a failure. Right. Yeah. And so maybe you're asking that question of like, how did his kids, is he actually a poor father? Well, like your dad, he was not a bad father. He was not a poor father. In his mind, he probably really wanted you to have the pool. And so I think this is where we go wrong. He's like, he loved you. He wanted you to have the pool. And then in his mind, he was like, you know what? I'm going to get Andrew that pool. But then 2 months goes by, 3 months goes by, life changes. Oh, shoot, we got to move. All right. Like just life changes, right? Whereas in that moment, what if he were to show up a little bit differently? And sorry, again, I hope you don't mind me using this as an example, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I'm good with that situation.
What if he showed up in that situation of, again, just saying the word no?
Yeah, he struggled with that. I remember we went to a counseling session one time and he says, I struggle with being a father and being his friend and like wanting him to love me and like me and not wanting him to like be at odds with me for disciplining him and da-da-da-da. But I think that is probably a common parent issue of how do I balance being a parent and also like I love this kid more than anything in the world and wanting to do what might benefit that kid in the long run versus not wanting to upset him or her in the moment. But I think for me, that led me to be like nice and to avoid tension and to then have these outlandish outbursts because it'll eventually explode. And that's what he would do is eventually there would be an explosion and it would be scary and it would be like a traumatic event as a kid. It's like the nice energy isn't real and it will open up.
Bringing this back to the guy listening to this is you're touching on some big things here. And these are core values, I think, for a lot of guys. They come back to the same idea of, I want to show up with integrity. For me, my top two values are honesty and respect, are big values of mine. Whatever that value is, I had to really go on a journey with, let's just take honesty, for example. I identified like, wow, I'm telling a lot of lies in a day. They might be white lies. I used to justify them with saying, hey, this is just a white lie. It's keeping everyone at bay, but I'm lying. And so I went on a journey of knowing that honesty was a value of mine, thoughts and actions in alignment. I went on the journey of really getting real and honest about the word honesty and what it meant to me. And now, as brutal as it is, I'm much more comfortable with it now because I've done that journey. But at the time, it was very difficult. I had to be honest about, and just little things that really didn't matter. But I told myself, I showed up with integrity and I told myself that I wouldn't lie to myself anymore, or that I wouldn't let myself down, that I would show up with integrity to myself. So what you're talking about showing up with integrity is very powerful, right? And showing up to a program like this of, hey, I'm going to commit and I'm going to do this and fail. Feel free to fail. Nobody's giving you a hard time for failing, but show up with integrity.
Yeah, just cycle back. For guys here who want to challenge themselves with integrity, I think Grounded30 would be one, it's no cost to join. So it's like now it's really just about you. Do you want to do this or not? Grounded30.com. You could learn more. You could check it out. You can join. I'm in there. Jack's in there now. It's growing. We're getting more guys involved. And it's really powerful to see what happens when a guy just lives in alignment to his values and vision. He's building integrity with himself and what can happen. It's almost like an experiment because different things are going to happen for different guys. And it opens up space for, I think, what the guy really wants to do or what he really needs to do. And from there, when guys are sharing this stuff, it's a really powerful environment. You're not alone in Grounded30.
Yeah. And that's another powerful part of it as well. But why are we doing this alone? We're all so bad at just going into our man cave.
I feel that just stems from the whole narrative around asking for help is a difficult thing for men to do. It may feel like it's just weakness. Like I'm in a difficult place and I need help. So therefore, like I'm not where I want to be. I'm weak.
We need to have all the answers. That's one of the things that I noticed as well is like we as men feel that we have to show up always with the answers. We have to have the answers. Our wives are depending on it, our partners, our kids, our family, like everybody is looking to the masculine for leadership. And therefore they're looking to us for the answers. I can definitely resonate with that of like, it is hard asking for help because we need to be the ones with the answers. Do you ever feel that way where you're just like, oh man, I got to have the answer?
Yeah. Cause it feels, I think at the core, when we're talking about masculinity, people look to the masculine leader. They're looking for safety. When there's uncertainty, we feel unsafe. We're unsure and that creates the anxiety that reduces trust. And so masculinity or leadership is safety. And so to say I don't know or I need help might suggest that like I'm not exuding safety. So I think how one could go about that is that you can ask for help within the frame that I am going to solve this. Then that would then be safety. That would then be leadership. I'm not asking for help from a position of save me. I'm asking for help from a position of like, I am going to figure this out. I don't know, but I am going to figure this out. And that last piece is important. That's what makes it go, oh, okay. Like, guys going through a difficult time, let's say finances, like economic conditions might be tough. If someone is feeling really uncertain and they're not sure what's going to happen and they're looking to others to save them, that can then be repelling others versus like, here's the situation. I could use some help getting through this. I'm still in the driver's seat, making the calls, calling the shots. It's within a frame of, I can figure this out. That is not weak. That is actually what you should do to grow and to advance.
Yeah, because you said two very powerful statements there. I don't know. That's the first one. I don't know that is a very powerful statement, because even if you were to say to me right now, like, Jack, tell me the answer to yada, yada, yada on, men's health and personal growth, I would instinctually want to answer you and get the correct answer. But to catch myself and actually identify, hey, I actually don't know the answer to what Andrew is asking me right now, and be honest with it and say, I don't know, that on its own is powerful. The other thing that I like about the I don't know statement is it opens up the opportunity for creative. Now it's a creative approach, right? I don't know.
Like collaborative.
Collaborative,
like collaborative.
I
don't know. Let's
figure this out. And that's the other one. Let's figure this out. Yeah, that's a very powerful statement. And that is a scary one for guys who have been, let's say they run very successful companies. They have children, family, like they have all these responsibilities. I don't know is generally a statement that guys don't know how to use, right? I don't know, but let's figure this out. And that's very powerful. The let's figure this out, maybe that's the part where now it opens up for a creative approach, which you and I know that's always kind of a thriving approach. The creative approach is always more of like a higher level, like a thriving type of, mentality. Let's figure this out.
Right. It's a higher level form of energy.
Right. Yeah.
We're working together, we're collaborating to solve this problem. I think this is powerful in relationships as well. It's like if a girl is putting you in a tough situation or like bringing something up that you don't yet have the answer to, or you're not sure how to solve. I think the worst thing you could do is, because you don't know what to do, is to shut her down and leave. But I find just buying time and just saying like, look, I don't know right now in this moment. We can talk about this. We can work on something here. We can figure this out. And that part is that safety aspect that she's looking for. And that's the piece right there. It's not perfection. It's that we're going to work together on this. And that's what she's seeking out of you, is safety. The lack of safety will then create a whole host of issues within the relationship, specifically emotional safety. And so shutting her down would be the fastest way to create a lack of emotional safety.
We're going down the rabbit hole of what, like, Grounded30 is the start. And these are the rabbit holes you go down as you start to do this work. You're like, oh, wow. Okay, well, I have all this power. I'm showing up with integrity. Okay, if I'm showing up with integrity in my relationship, one of my favorite books is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Do you know this book? Have you read it?
Classic.
One of the things they talk about, and I see it a lot in relationships with guys, is we go, and I mentioned it before, we go into this man cave. And the book describes it in detail, like how the feminine views that as men when we go into the man cave, right? And they get scared because they feel like we're pulling away. That is the whole point. That safety has left the building, right? You're talking about how safety is very important in relationships, for the feminine especially. Yeah. So when we go into our man caves, we've basically just said, like, I'm detaching myself from you. You're on your own now. So we think that we're doing the right thing by going into that. We're going to figure this out, and then we're going to come back with a solution. She's not looking for a solution. She just wants to know that she's safe. So again, another powerful statement.
Yeah. She feels heard. She feels seen, and that we can work on this together. Like, this is something we can address. I think in that moment, what she feels is abandonment when you go into the man cave. And if a woman if we look at her past, her father or her exes, and the feeling of abandonment, especially if her attachment style is anxious, will lead to a really wild response from her, which is either, that's
eruption.
That'll be an extreme, an eruption. If she's secure, she won't like it and she'll call you out. If she's avoidant, then she'll do the same. If she's anxious, she'll blow up on you. And that's often what I see is quite common, is a high-performing guy being an avoidant and then a feminine woman being an anxious type. And that combination we're really dealing with. It's like he's running, she's freaking out. And, But yeah, so I'm glad that we had this conversation, just kind of going into some of the Grounded 30 and opening up what's going on for clients. I've enjoyed it. For guys who want to join, go to grounded30.com and let's rock and roll. Let's make it happen. There's no cost. So it's really just about, do you want to do this? That's the whole point of why I created it, is how can I create something that's extremely valuable that will give somebody a new result for sure at no cost. And then my goal is that's like your initiation into other things that we offer. And from there, you can decide if you want to work with us in any other capacity, but there's really that's on you. Like, I just want you to be able to make a decision from a position of like, hey, I know who this guy is. I know what Knowledge for Men's about. I know what Andrew's about. I know what Jack's about. I see what these guys are doing. It's really cool. There's a whole host of other coaches that we have on the team. And from here, it seems like it could be a good place for me to grow in my life and my relationships and my career. Or not. You can just do the challenge and dip out. That's totally fine too. But at least I feel that I've showed up and I'm like, hey, the door's open. The doors are open for all men who want to grow at this point. And that's why I created Grounded 30, an initiation into the world of knowledge for men.
Amazing, man. Yeah, this is a movement. The world needs this. Men need to start showing up, right? Everybody is looking. We are the masculine leaders here. The world is looking to us for safety, leadership. Like, we need to show up. You know, shift that mindset. If you're sitting there telling yourself, I can't do, or that's not for me, or whatever the case is, but you have a vision of something that's better than where you're at right now, do it. It's free. That's wild. Nothing's free. So
I know
that's wild.
I know. This is not a good business decision, but I think that my intention, I think thousands of guys will do this, and that's totally worth it at that point. So I hope that you listening are one of those guys.